There we go. Now we're live. Already exhausted. I did a premature greeting and exhausted all my energy on that fake one, and now this is the real one. We're in here. We're in Pope's Addiction Clinic, and you won't be funding my inevitable relapse today because all the money goes to the Black Trans Protesters Fund. From the black femmes in Black Trans femmes in art. That is the people who are in partnership with the Black Trans Protesters Fund. So please fund that, because there's a lot at the moment in the press with trans erasure, and just let people live, mate. Just let people live. Just let them get on with their lives. And J.K. Rowling, a woman saying women is defined by menstruation or ability to reproduce, in so many words, sort of taking back feminism back to the 1950s. Trans people are the gender that they feel. Trans people are that gender, and gender is constantly in a state of flux anyway. I always felt like the daughter of the family, even though I've got, a big scruffy beard and look like a bridge troll. So first of all, I'm going to tell you about this story. Like, some of this stuff will be to do with addiction. Some of it is just going to be discursive, digressive thoughts that have come into my head. Like the other, so I was talking about people being defined by arbitrary metrics, especially when it comes to like being a comedian and doing online stuff. People are defined by how the viewers or the likes or all that kind of stuff. And that is my worth. My worth now is like, how many of you are watching this at the moment? I don't know. Thank God I don't know, because if it was in single digits, mate, I'd probably do myself in. Boy. I'll be gone. But no, I wouldn't really. So even if there is just one of you, I'm sure you're a very keen, enthusiastic viewer, and this is all for you, Nan. So there's this, so it's been defined by arbitrary metrics. I remember when I was in school, there's an assembly, and they got two pupils to come up the front. I don't know what the message of this would. I mean, what they did is they got two pupils. They handed them a big bowl of cold beans and a toothpick, and within like 3 minutes, they had to see how many beans they could stab with a toothpick and eat, like within the allocated time frame. I don't know what the lesson was. There must have been some message at the end of it, but it got lost in all the bean chomping. There's this one boy. He went to town on them. Oh my God, he went to town on those big cold beans. He had at it. No qualms. Just plowed right into the big cold bowl of beans. No, nothing holding him back. It was like his entire life had been leading up to this moment, and he was going to bloody show it. He was going to take this opportunity with both hands. The other boy did one bean. He did one bean. So he obviously thought, look, I'll have one to show I'm a good sport and I'm not trying to be disruptive. I'm not trying to ruin the assembly. I'll have one. But it's morning, mate. It's the start of the day. I haven't eaten my breakfast. I'm not having a big cold bowl of beans for my breakfast. I'm just, I will have, I'm a one bean cutoff. I'll have one single bean. And that's it, mate. That is I'll do the bean, you do your message. It's probably St. Christian anyway, because that's usually the type of people that came in. It wasn't a very multicultural school. And then he got branded One Bean. That was his nickname for the next 4 years. This guy got forever tarnished because he had a lack of enthusiasm for bean consumption. And the other boys over there, like bean skin in his teeth, going, mate, you ain't fucking lived until you've had a big cold bowl of beans like me, mate, because I'm virile. I'm big bowl of beans, big knob boy. One bean. got forever designated as the school pussy because he wanted to maintain his dignity by not eating too many beans in front of an assembly full of 1,000 students. Dignity. Yeah, dignity is important to me. I've got none. No, I can't actually remember the last time I was embarrassed about anything. And I was the sort of kid at school who would purposely shit myself because I had a pathological need to amuse. Didn't feel any shame. And I used to work in, speaking of shit, I used to work in a care home. Actually back to care because the live comedy has been decimated. And in the care home, it was actually, it's an honor and a privilege. I really love that job. You become an extension of their family. You become enmeshed in their life. Very rewarding work. I used to do something called the Care Home Tour, which is comedy specifically tailored for people with dementia. Quite a repetitive show, I'll be honest. Got to repeat a couple of things. Go around the block a few times. Gets a bit frustrating. But when you first go into the care home, there's a sign that says dignity for everyone every day. And that's a good maxim to live your life by, especially when you're trying to preserve the dignity of these people who require it in their autumnal years. First thing I see start a shift. Dignity for everyone every day. The only problem with that is I then spend the next 14 hours washing old knobs for minimum wage. So where's my fucking dignity? Washing old knobs, mate. Got no beef with old knobs. This one guy, I love him, and I was washing his old knob, and he went to me, Pope, you must hate this job sometimes, having to wash old knobs all day long. I wanted to be candid and say, yeah, you're right, mate, it's disgusting, but that felt needlessly offensive. So I took a different route, and I said, no, it's fine, mate. I like it. Wrong route to take. There's also this other woman, and on the front of their doors, they had a picture and then a little bit of sort of a biographical information to say about the person, the resident whose room it was. And there's this one woman, and she had on the front of her door, Olive loves to talk about her family, but Olive couldn't remember her family, and I can't tolerate liars. I'm not having it. So I've got them to whip that off. Not having it, mate. It's unethical. I don't like liars. She can't remember them. She doesn't like to talk about them because she can't even bloody remember them. She thinks she's a conker. Doesn't even know what humans are. Sad. Poor sad woman. She's not real. Yeah, I've got no beef with old knobs. We've all got biological degradation. We've all got our crosses to bear in that department. Like I've got love handles. I've got flat feet. I look like I've just come from a Slavic wedding. Old 90s jumpers. I also had cystic acne so that my chest looked like a climbing wall for Sylvanian families. Fucking disgusting. Pardon me. Sorry. This is a show about drugs addiction. So not all of it. I say drug addiction. It's actually not. It's just about addiction or mental health in general, to be honest. Quite a broad church. And my drug of choice was opiates. Like Coke cans. I used to fill up Coke cans or oxycodone, and morphine, eat load of dihydrocodeine tablets, all that sort of stuff. Hard stuff to get hold of. It's not like street heroin. This is medical grade stuff, controlled. And what you'll know is that in care homes, there's a lot of these drugs knocking about. And I set a moral threshold for myself, which was I would never deprive these elderly people of the drugs they need to manage pain. I'd never deprive them of that just for recreational purposes. I never did. But I did find a loophole, which is when they die, that shit's up for grabs. Finders keepers at that point. Just pillaging the dead. Just a fun crime. But you get enticed by the annihilatory function of bad life choices as an addict. Like sometimes you want to do stuff that will kind of ruin your life completely. Like I was on a coach to Brighton. I was doing a gig in Brighton, and I saw an unaccompanied baby on the coach, and I thought, I'm going to nick that. I wouldn't harm it or anything. I'd just walk it around the block, but still ruin your life completely, wouldn't it? Completely fuck your life up. You know, imagine coming back to the parents after you walk that baby around the block and go, yeah, sorry, mate, I was just trying something. Just seeing how it panned out. You'd be forever known as the person who abducted a baby for a bit. I also wanted to do, so I was going to be doing my debut hour this year. I was going to be doing my debut hour in Edinburgh this year. It was going to be called Incontinence Pad Disposal by Pope Lonergan. And after building, so your debut hour, people get to know you, especially as you haven't got a profile, you haven't got a national profile at this point. And sort of after building trust and generating enough goodwill over the course of an hour to end the show in a satisfying way, I wanted to then finish by doing something so malignant and so irredeemable that it eradicates any potential for career growth. Just complete scorched earth. No coming back. No coming back from that. So the audience emerge onto Cowgate thinking, he let himself go there. He let himself down. That's he showed his true colours, actually. That's wasn't for me. Quite liked him up to that point, doing all the old knob stuff and, you know, talking about beans. And he went and punched a baby and its little marshmallow head at the end there. And I'm sorry, call me prudish. I don't find punching actual babies very funny. Don't find it funny. I wanted to do it to complicate the perception of comedians as sort of fun one-note personalities, but I didn't know punching a baby. Could have punched a dog. Sort of worse than punching a baby, because the thing with punching a baby is there's part of you that thinks he might have brought it on himself, because humans are capable of evil, and that baby might have he's got it in him. Whereas with a dog's not the evil in him. I was in a relationship with someone who had unspecified personality disorders. I don't want to stigmatize anyone, especially in a show like this, when we're trying to show the universality of mental health problems and addiction, the addictive tendency and stuff like that. And I was in a relationship with someone who had an unspecified personality disorder, and me being a drug addict, quite a tempestuous dynamic. When we first got together, she was feeling a bit insecure about the relationship. So I sent her a message saying, I've resigned myself to the fact I'll have to traverse a difficult path, but it makes it all worthwhile if it leads back to you. Then she burnt my books and punched my mum. And I think I'll get off at the next slip row, love. Okay, our flat once flooded. It flooded in the bedroom. And she was at work and I was at home. And I refused to siphon out the water because I was too busy making a stop motion animation of a peanut wrestling a sweet corn in the kitchen. So my mum definitely deserved to get punched for that one. Someone's mum was going to have to get punched. It's courtship, mate. A mum gets a good old punching. Mums get punched by girlfriends. You got bird, you got mum bird. And I mean, of course I'm a feminist because my mum's a bird. Oh, I am a feminist. I don't know. Is it I am. I believe in what we say about feminism, but I'm almost mathematically ill-suited as a comedian to this current moment, because a lot of my material is actually about elderly death, and the old people aren't having a good season. So it's. But anyway, I think for the moment, I am going to bring on my first guest. We've only listened to me for long enough. I mean, I get again. I don't even need an audience, mate. I could just bang on forever. So I am going to bring on my first guest, and actually, as we got Athena in, we'll bring on Athena first, I think, because she's actually here now, and she was who was supposed to be on first. I hope that's okay with Faye. Please welcome my first guest, Athena Kugblenu.
Hey,
mate, you all right? Hello, mate. You all right?
How are you? Yeah, I came into your bit a little bit late, so all I heard was like something about old man Dick. And I thought,
shit!
Someone's got just an addiction. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because some might say I suffer from that myself. So.
How old are we talking? Like, I weirdly enough, I have got, because I used to work in elderly care, and there's a weird thing to elderly care where even though it's there's a lot going on and it can be quite laborious, like physically and sort of mentally a little bit taxing, it can be quite meditative, because when they've got dementia, they're always tethered to the present moment. They inhabit the present in such a complete way that it sort of forces you to do the same thing. So it would actually help with my addiction in a weird kind of way. But how are you? How are you keeping? How are you feeling at the moment?
Okay, actually, yeah. I feel like I've adapted as well as I can to the current climate as a performer. Obviously, I've reconciled myself to the fact stand up will be the last craft to go back. They'll put fucking cats back before they put us back, So that's I've reconciled myself to that, and I'm very, very, very fortunate to have a writing career. So that is keeping me busy, and it's something I've been able to invest in this time.
That's perfect.
And it's that boring thing of embrace the positives, right? We are where we are, and we have to, and everyone's in the same, not everyone, but most of us are in the same boat. And our priorities have to be to look after ourselves, and we should do whatever it takes for us to be able to look after ourselves. So that's the approach I'm taking, and it's all right so far. And I'm just trying to do what I enjoy every day, a little bit of what I do enjoy every day. So I'm cooking, I'm doing my Duolingo. You know what I mean? I'm doing all right. If you want to do the rest of this in French, don't, because I'm not very good at it. But I'm trying to do a little bit of something I enjoy every day as well.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I do you feel like, because I say to people like that, even if you don't identify as an addict in any way, I say that the addictive tendency, to me, I think there's like a universality to it, and that can manifest itself. Like I always say to people, for me, the drug use is just a symptom of this kind of addictive mindset that I've got. Is there anything you get invested in such a way where it could potentially ruin your life completely? Like, is there anything you get invested in like a really obsessive way where it could be quite disruptive to your life?
Not anymore. Thankfully, I would say the biggest thing is procrastination and laziness, which maybe a lot of people will be like, who doesn't have that, right? And it's a remarkable amount of energy consumed for me just to do anything. Most days, which a lot of people find that hard to believe, because I get up to lots of different things, I guess. In the past, I used to be quite ruthless about certain. I'm gonna sound like such a cunt, but
go on, man.
Maybe what I ate and going to the gym and stuff like that. I used to be quite meticulous. I don't want to insult people who have real issues, so I don't think it's fair for me to say that there was something medically problematic with it. Yeah. But if you put in your kit in your car and you're going to a gig and you're getting home at midnight and you're doing your intervals, am I supposed to buy Adidas? Who gives a fuck, right? And I had to have a daughter to get over that. Really, when you're a woman and you have a baby, you sacrifice your body. So that, and it was like overnight, like the things that had been so important to me, measuring my porridge, and and all that stuff overnight, something I had dedicated years. I used to obsess over my 5K times and stuff, and now it's like I can't remember the last time I ran 5K.
Do you feel better? Do you feel better being able to kind of, because I can see a slight slightly kind of systematic obsessive behavior there maybe, but do you feel better that you've been able to kind of relinquish that part of yourself, or would you like to get back to that
I miss it.
Yeah.
It made me happy, and I would like one day to get back to that. I think what I liked about it was I have a kind of person, I'd rather be in bed.
Yeah.
Anywhere I mean, whatever I'm doing, I could be on live at the Apollo, but I would rather be in bed. Like, that's just my mentality. And what I liked about finding a way to get myself out of that was like it, being that kind of person got, it gave me something to focus on. I'm definitely a lazier person now without those ways to measure myself. You know what I mean? When you're into working out, you can measure how well you're doing. You're going up or you're down or whatever.
Yeah.
And your abilities. And I've got a partner who goes out for a run, but I'm not always able to do that because of my responsibilities, or and also like I got quite good at that kind of stuff. I was an athletic person. I guess you could call me. Up until the end of my pregnancy, I was swimming, I was walking, I was one of them cunts. So it was like, well, it was funny. There's no denying it. So I feel a sense of loss in that respect, but I've also gained so much. And the reality is the time I spent doing those things, like, definitely could have been spent doing the things that I'm doing now. And a lot of that sacrifice has also been to like a child, which is like, I guess it's not bad. It's not like I gave it up for the crack.
Yeah. That's what I did, mate.
So it's like it's one of those things there, and I don't want to be one of those people that's like, oh, I used to be able to bench this, or I used to be able to squat this, and I don't want to. So I try not to talk about it too much. But I love, in the back of my head, I do think of a time when I will get back to that routine, and I try. I keep myself ticking over, as they say. But do I feel better? I suppose the answer is I've come to terms with it.
Yeah.
But I dream of the day I get back to that space. Actually, I do.
Yeah. That'll probably be, do you reckon that'll be when your child has got a bit older and you've sort of got a bit more time on your hands, or?
Yeah, more time, more money. Lockdown was a real. I now do full-time childcare, where she was with a childminder before. And then if I had more money, then I like before I had a full-time job up until last November. So obviously doing stand-up and doing comedy, you have a bit of time to do that kind of stuff, but you can't be frivolous with your time when you've got a child. So going to the gym is a frivolous use of time. You know what I mean? It's so frivolous. It's ridiculous. We're not athletes. You can go for a run around the block. You can buy some weights, do this shit at home, do some push-ups in your bedroom. Like, it's so, because I can't be frivolous. Like, one of the things it's a cliche, but you put yourself second. What would have to change, I think, would be money, because if I had more money, I could get more childcare. That'd be great. And I could probably work a little less harder. I could say no to like some of these jobs, and I could do that kind of stuff. So it's a very cliche 1950s housewife story. Like, you've got to wait for it to be liberated. At the same time, like, it's all good. This is just all it is I'm just an aging middle-aged woman who is looking back on her past former youthful self.
Glory.
It's all it is. When I break it down, that's all the hell it is, man. It's no big deal.
But then you say like it might be glory in one department, but then, like you said, like me sort of seeing your output, you're very prolific, and you obviously have that work ethic, which is probably slightly frenzied with the sort of stuff that you're doing all over the place, and it might have just you've migrated it from that over to that, that from athleticism over to the work output. But
possibly.
I've got. So how have you? We know what's going on in the world at the moment. How is your mental equilibrium? I know it's going to be out of balance, clearly. But how are you feeling in this current moment?
I want to be very clear about this. I've been saying this a lot. I have always been this angry.
Yeah,
always. So what I'm thinking is that, this is. Now I look less angry. Because everyone's as angry as I am.
The world's caught up with you, mate. The world's caught up.
Well, not just me. It's caught up with a lot of people. And it's almost like if you if you have to repeat a year at school, you're around people and you're like, no, I've done this already. You know, I've done this already. I've done this last year. You know, so it feels a little bit like I don't know what I can contribute, because I feel like everything, like creatively or intellectually or socially, I've contributed already. Everything I do now is genuinely, I know it's to be arrogant, but it is genuinely a repetition of things that I feel like I've been doing, and not just myself, and a load of other people have been doing this more better than me, you know. So I feel I'm as angry as I've ever been, but I feel like I can be more quiet about it now, because it's like other people are doing the talking, and that's actually really great. And I think that was always going to be the tipping point, when it's like preaching to the converted, when people start to become converted, right? So before, it was very much, you like me if you agree with me, but now it's like, if you don't agree with me, you might listen to people who think like me because you're intrigued. And that's what's different. That's what's different today to what it was a week or so ago. It's been stressful only because you get there's been a lot of kind of work offers and stuff, which is like, I'm a very easy person to find. So to find me now, you couldn't have found me a month ago, is very interesting. But it's all good, man. It's all money in the bank, and it's nothing I don't think I deserve. So this is not big deal stuff, by the way, just it's small stuff, but it's all part of that narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say? It is what it is.
Well, it's like a guy, a comedian said it's like there's a Netflix series called Racism, and white people have just started watching it from series one, and black people are like, mate, we're on 300 and 400 and 567. Like, what are you doing? Just getting into it now. You got so, and it's you know, it's a kind of like someone like myself, like I'm a working class person, but I'm quite autodidactic, and you know, I've read the texts like Du Bois and Fanon and stuff like that, and I it's the arrogance of thinking like I've read a few of these books that are on the reading list. You know, I've read a few of the scholarly texts, thinking I know this, and then being in this mode now, like I know fucking nothing. I know fucking nothing.
You know quite a bit. A lot of people don't even know how to say his name, so you get going.
Oh, great! That's all I needed to hear. No, I'm let off.
It's really interesting. It's really hard. And I said something earlier in the week. I said the reason why things don't change is because so much needs to change. And you hit the nail on the head. We can read all of the books and the scholarly texts, and we can watch all the YouTube videos and the tutorials, stuff like that. But what we then have to do is think about the fact that we live in a legislative system that was designed to last. It was designed by people centuries ago to operate in this way for the next 3,000 years, literally forever. And I think that's what we have to comprehend. People find it really hard to break rules, you know, like, so for example, but they find it very easy to break rules when it's to the benefit of white people. So we just have to get people out of that mindset. The statue, I'm not really that interested in the statue debate, but I just do think it does say something really fascinating and clear about this. People have tried administratively for years to get rid of these statues. They've written all the letters, submitted all the applications, had all the consultations, and nothing's been done, right? So if you want to get rid of them, just knock him down, innit? So those rules were designed to stop these statues from ever coming down. So we have to reconcile ourselves with the fact that we live in a world that wasn't designed to facilitate our freedom. So in order to be free, we have to go against the world. And the most beautiful thing about the Bristol Colston statue, that it was mostly white people.
Yeah.
You know, because it showed not just allyship, but just like, it's not a question of like, oh, this is for black people. Like, this is for all of us. You know, this educates us all. This is for all of our freedom. You know, and I always say, the concentration of talking about black people and African people in general, like, trust me, when we're free, we're all fucking free. We have it the worst. If people treat us nice, I'm telling you. And I was talking to someone, just sorry to go on a bit, but
please carry on. It's really fascinating.
So, working class, if we're talking about neglecting this country, black people neglected, absolutely. But white working class people, next and not far away. And I'm telling you right now, like, once more white working class people die once they've been arrested than black people. This is actually a fact. We die in custody, but once you've been arrested, it's actually white working class people that die. But they don't show this. If they filmed it, they'd be more inclined to do something about it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
of course. Oh, yeah.
If they show black people dying, they can be like, whoa, we'll get away with it, and they've done that. So that's the next battle. Like once we're free, we have to make sure that everyone else is corrected. And that's the beauty of it. And I hope, and I think, like I said, going back to the Bristol thing, seeing white people, I think they get it now.
Yeah.
You sort out white supremacy, you sort out classism, you sort out loads of issues. It's connected. It's really connected. And trust me, if the police treat black people nicely, they'll start treating white working class people nicely. That's how it'll work.
Well, like reading sort of Huey P. Newton's book, and he was saying it was like
reading there.
yeah. Another one to add, another tick off the box, and they were saying in that they weren't a sort of a black nationalist, like anti-white party. They wanted to elevate the white working class and include them in the struggle as well, because they realised that these white working class people are going to be receptive to the cause of black liberation. And as well, and it's like once you've got black people who are in bondage, once you've got them elevated, then the white working classes who are poor and dispossessed, but not in bondage, they'll be elevated along with black people as well. And we've got more of a kinship than with the overlords and the real kind of landed gentry people who who've kept all of us in our places for so long. And it's I mean, do you feel like you have the Vico theory of history about this idea of the endless return, and that everything's cyclical, and we all go 100%. Back?
I mean, even who said it was the end of history? Fukuyama, I've forgotten his name. End of history, and he rejected that totally. Everything that's happened in history has happened before. It's entirely cyclical. And what that teaches us is that we do things out of habit. But that's what I mean about breaking the rules. Like they want it to be an end of history. The whole point of white supremacy and neoconservatism was this is the ideal of how people should live, and we're going to be like this forever. So we need to get out of that fundamental belief that our democracy is the best, our way of life is the best, our society is the best, our culture is the best, our whatever is the best, and we need to actually think that it's garbage and we need to start again. Hence this cyclical nature. And that's what's happened. Empires rise and fall, and I don't know if this is the moment where we start to see the decline of that idea that where we was at before was the best. But what you won't see now, America's not going to be bombing democracy into any country anytime soon. I'll tell you that for nothing. The EU and the UK aren't going to be bombing democracy into any country anytime soon. That is that's a big international shift, But I'll tell you something. India might, India in 20 years' time might look at some of their neighbours and think, actually, let's try and encroach onto them. So and that's very much the opposite of the end of history, which the whole point was the whole world's supposed to look like us, right? That was the point of it. So I'm definitely believe that history goes around in circles. Everything that's happened has happened before, and hopefully what they tried to do was to stop that and stop our revolution. And we've got the better of them now. We've reached a critical mass of intelligent, empowered people, and this is the beginning of the end. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Oh, that's great. That's what I was going to ask. They said, once the Overton window shifts, then and once you get to that critical mass, that's when you start to see change. And just in talking about history, but just in the kind of a narrow spectrum of your own personal history, does this to you feel like the moment where stuff is going to shift? Does it, or do you worry that it's going to be slight changes but more of the same, or do you actually feel like this is the moment that we're going to see real changes with race relations?
What we have now, which I don't think I've seen in any kind of flashpoint in terms of the racial conversation, is accountability. I don't know if you noticed, but the Premier League are going to play football in a couple of weeks, and they're going to have Black Lives Matter on all of their shirts. And I'm telling you something: if you send out all of your players on to play a football match and they're wearing black this, Black Lives Matter that, black this, black ball, whatever the fuck you're doing, I don't know what they're going to do. I want to, you know, and you don't follow that up with action. That's, you know, that's not going to fly for people. So accountability, you know, lots of people publicly, you know, everyone put black things on their social media. Everyone is chatting away. So now I think people have been so vocal about their belief that something is broken. We as believers of the system being broken, can now point the finger and say, what are you doing about it? Which is why Boris Johnson's reaction has been incredibly strategic. You know, like, you know, I'm not a believer of this thing. Yeah, it's very sad how that guy died, but that statue is very important, because he knows the minute he says something that he can be held accountable for, his government's going to have to change. His government is very anti everything, but it's specifically anti-black. So people mostly deny racism because they don't want to be held accountable. They don't want their way of life to change. But I think now I'm seeing more people saying, okay, we will admit it. Now you can tell us we've admitted it. Piers Morgan's fucking changed his mind. I mean, he does it for clout, but that's interesting. I don't care why you do it, whether it's for clout, whether it's for money, whether it's because for whatever reason, whether it's for sex. I don't know where you would do it, but if you're changing your mind, good for you. You know what I'm saying? So because ultimately that's more useful to me than you being a cunt.
Yeah.
So excuse me, I'm saying cunt a lot. I don't know why.
No, please, I love it. I you do it. I think I mean, it's just on a personal level, and I don't want to co-opt what's going on in the world at the moment, and, you know, apply the white guilt narrative onto it, because it isn't about me. But I will just say that it's someone like me who thought of myself as being an ally, and maybe, you know, a fairly decent ally. I'm now inserting myself into that narrative and realizing the kind of how I contribute to systemic racism, and really trying to evaluate every part of my life as well. And I think I'm seeing that happening in places that I would never have seen it happen before. Just like you said there with like Premier League and the problems they have with racism, seeing there, even though it's only a symbolic thing at the moment, just that symbol is a very potent one. Coming from...
if you're a black footballer and you're about to retire and you're thinking about management now, you know, you're thinking to yourself, well, look at what these people are doing today. So when I go to my interview and I don't get the job and some unqualified oaf gets it, I can look back on this day and I can say, hold on a minute, guys, you're taking the piss. So these statements of intent do hold power for the future, and hopefully we have long memories. And I'm looking forward to, you know, we're looking back on over the next, say, 12, 24 months to see what progress we've made.
Yeah. Oh, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you. You're sort of one of, I always see comedians that I always think to invite on to Pope's Addiction Clinic, and you was one of the names I've wanted to get on. So I'm really glad we could. I'm really glad we can make this happen. But I enjoy the rest of your evening, and really lovely speaking to you, mate.
Absolutely, take it easy, Pope. Thank you.
Yeah, you too, mate. See you later. Bye. Oh, that was the wonderful Athena Cugblenu there, and so great to have her on. And wish her all the best. Wish her all the best. We're just, it's like I'm a daytime TV presenter. I mean, if there's anyone out there who wants to give me that job, I'm fine with it, mate. Because at the moment, I'm living on buttons. I'm living on nothing. I am. I could show you, mate. You want to see this? You want me to prove my poorness? I'll do it in the bit. Actually, wait, let me try and find it. One sec. Oh no, it'll come up my bank details, won't it? Well, there's 33p in there anyway. This is the good thing about staying poor, is that you are bulletproof, mate. Someone tries to mug you, you crack on, mate. It'll just be an imposition for you. You crack on. Go see that what you have to, the hoops you have to jump through to get 33p. I mean, the poor muggers, they really put the effort in, and they want to see something for it. Not 33p. That's just shameful. But like my dad said to me, he kindly put it to me. He said, "I'm someone who has no property, no investments, no dependents, not even a social life. So, you know, when the coming recession really hits us, this is what you've been building yourself up to your entire life, boy." This is what you've been inuring yourself to this very moment. And that is my father. Cheers, Dad. Thanks, mate. I actually poured a little bit of. So my dad was doing. My dad was actually doing press ups the other day, and my dad was doing awkward sort of stocky bloke yoga, and he had a little dimple that appeared on the back of his neck while he was straining, and I tried to pour a little bit of milk into the dimple for a laugh, but ended up pouring a whole glass of milk over my dad, and he was seething. So, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I became really indignant to his disproportionate anger. So I shouted back, why the fuck does it matter if I pour a little bit of milk into your neck dimple? Grow up, Dad. As if I had the upper hand. Anyway, please welcome my next, unfortunately, final guest, but what a wonderful final guest. Faye Tracy, come on. Hello. You all right?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm just doing this fine. As my energy levels shifted, like, has the tempo gone up from when we spoke before we came on air? Do I seem like I'm in performance mode, or do I still seem a bit tired?
Slightly more up, but I'm glad. Like, your chat with Athena, that was just fucking brilliant, and I was like, oh god, I have nothing. As a white woman, I have nothing to add. I have absolutely nothing. My job for the last week is to sit back and I don't know. Like,
well,
your dad, your dad's in the police, right?
He is, yeah, he is.
Yeah, like my stepdad's in the police as well. So, but I was just listening to your conversation, thinking with my stepdad, like, I can't have as articulate conversation. It has to be more of an emotive, feeling conversation. I was just like, oh, I wish I could listen.
Well, it's like it's a kind of a weird one with my dad. So he's retired now. And he is a teacher. He's retrained as a maths teacher. He's in a school that is majority black kids, and his mentality, like, he's really had to kind of reckon with this current moment, and I've kind of had to, have those conversations with him. And obviously, he's still got some of the residual attitudes of kind of law and order on the side of law and order, but there's definitely been a marked shift in him. Not that he was ever he was part of a institutionally racist system, but him as an individual, that's not ever anything I bear witness to. But there's definitely been a shift in his attitude away from the police force that he would have previously supported.
In terms of going, I have to look at it all.
Yeah,
and it is a whole, but especially if you've been brought up and that's the way you, like, in terms of the system, like, I can see why. But yeah, no, it's just been Fina, you're great. I love you. Thank you.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I'm really glad we got her on. But if you've been a white woman, I can list all the atrocities committed by white women.
Just sometimes it's just like, but we're comedians. Always the loudest voice that gets fucking heard, and it's just, anyway.
There's definitely a lot to be said for white voices taking a back seat and being more passive in this current moment and kind of listening. But yeah, like you said, I mean, as to be honest, I don't really do political comedy anyway, so I'm not really the kind of person who will have an angle on this particular moment, because I'm in my comedy, I'm fairly solipsistic. It's just about me bumbling through the world and doing the stuff that I do, and it's never really, it's like the larger world outside of my kind of bubble of experience on stage doesn't even exist, really. I think it's very rare for me to mention anything. Maybe I'm just like a narcissist, but it's very rare for me to mention what's going on in the wider world on stage.
Yeah, I definitely storytell a lot more. It's not like, I have to be honest, I don't think, even if I was going to talk about my experience in Corona, if I went on stage and tried to do that with a trombone, everyone would just be like, no. Your housemate has not spoken to you for 3 months. Not do this. Yeah. This is why you've been in lockdown in isolation.
How are you feeling now as we're starting to slowly kind of slowly emerge into the real world? Probably prematurely, to be fair, but
okay, but I think for us it's like the last thing that's going to go back is gigging and work. So I might be able to socially distance in the pub, but like I've been like not been trying to drink since January. So it's kind of like I don't really, my life and my work life isn't suddenly miraculously going to go back to how it was. So it's kind of opening up, just being like, oh, my social circle. But now I'm wondering if I'm going to come out with a tick. Like when you've seen the friend in the park, it's like none of you can look each other in the eyes, or someone's blinking a lot, and you're like, everyone's going to come out with their own little twitch. And I think I've gone feral. Like I tried to put some like mascara on, and I brushed my eyebrows for you.
It looks very nice. You don't look feral. You look very done up. Very nice. You scrub up well.
I'm trying.
Yeah. I think, I wondered that as well. Like, is it gonna? But then I don't know. I mean, I went to the Black Lives Matter march, and I went to
London.
Yeah, and I kind of noticed it was quite eerie coming into Liverpool Street, walking from Liverpool Street to Parliament Square, where it was like 28 days later, where like he's walking along the bridge and there's no one around. And I thought, if students want to make their student film about a post-apocalyptic world in London, like without any licenses to actually film it, this would be the perfect time, because they go into London, especially around Liverpool Street, and it's empty, it's dead, it's really weird.
It's later with the DLR as it comes through on that movie.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Down with Maddie from Leicester Square, and we went through this park, and I was behind a bunch of kids, and they all went into like a bush, and she was like, are they smoking weed? I was like, we could just smoke weed, like it's fine.
Yeah,
they're pissing before the protest. This is a really fucking good idea. Take my stuff. And then I just waited for these teenagers to come out of the bush, and I was like, is that the piss spot? And I was like, I don't have the bladder control anymore. It's like I really like, I will piss.
Yeah. I piss constantly. Like I get up in the middle of the night about 20 times, and I remember I think I fucked up my dick or my bladder or something. So I remember when I first as well took ecstasy, and I haven't
seen penis in 3 months. I didn't mean that specifically about your dick, to just be like,
yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, it's. I've had no complaints, but I mean, at the moment, it is. That looks feral. Colin, by the way, Colin A. Mayhew said you look foxy, not feral.
I know, it's come up, and he really likes the NHS. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Colin. And I gonna get a compliment about my dick. Bit rude, mate. You just complimented the guest, but not the bit rude. I don't like that, Colin. You've let yourself down there. So my dick looks feral. But I think like I was listening to Lionel Shriver, and who I only just what's wrong?
I'm laughing. Lionel Shriver. She's the one who's everyone's. Yeah, we need to talk about Kevin.
Yes, that one. Yeah,
he wrote a very controversial article in the jazz world recently because she's married to a jazz drummer. Anyway, that's.
Wait, I actually want to hear. I want to hear about this. What was so controversial about it?
Her argument was that she was saying that the jazz festivals shouldn't be promoting more equal opportunities and for more women to be headlining the stage if they're not as good, because then we're going to be doing the sound of the jazz dam.
Yeah, she's one of them.
But she wrote it in like The Spectator or something.
Yeah, she writes for The Spectator. This is the thing. I mean, Lionel Shriver, so she fascinates me in one regard. She is a very controversial figure, like just a kind of contrarian in a lot of ways, has to be on the opposite side to whatever consensus is. But Faye, you're back. You went off for a moment. You're back.
Have I just done slander or something?
No. So the thing with her though is that she said in this thing, that she's got an addictive personality, but she said she has a narrative addiction, and that the reason she would get obsessed about like this argument with Brexit is because she had a kind of frenzied consumption of news and stuff like that, and that she just almost she didn't even give a shit about Brexit or what was going to happen or what the real world consequences were going to be. She just cared about the narrative around Brexit and all the different
at the moment. She's like, this is not in my narrative of what's I
Where it's like, yeah, but I get sorry. Colin said that my beard is rocking, rocking that beard. Thank you, Colin. Oh, you've redeemed yourself. But yeah, so that kind of frenzied consumption of news, like I get that. Like I used to have to get my mum to pick me up from school when I was little in primary school because I was always worried about Saddam Hussein dropping bombs into the ocean. And I used to worry about that a lot. That was like a recurring concern for me, and it's always because I pick stuff off the news. But what were kind of weird idiosyncratic behaviours for you when you were little?
Oh, loads.
Go on.
Like I don't think it was necessarily OCD, but it was just that trait of that perfectionism and things that need to be in order. So when I was really little, like, and I don't know if it was just because I was trying to get my mom's attention because there were so many of us, but I'd make her sing the nighttime, like the bedtime stories in a particular order. And if she got them out of order, I'd make her start back at the beginning again.
Oh God.
And I was a kid who wet the bed till 9. So you really were hoping I was going to go out. Like, like, I mean, yeah, I know. I mean, I was an evil child. I had a babysitter and I just pissed on my pillow because I didn't like her. It was, I was also like really like intense. So I was, because I was so dyslexic and I wasn't reading until I was like 7 or 8. But as soon as I picked up an instrument, I obsessively practiced.
That's great though. Look that I
so extreme into things. You know, when you're just like, I would try and stretch. Like I've got such tiny hands, and so when I was learning piano, I would try and stretch. Like I was physically trying to move so I could try and get up to a temp. Like
that's brilliant though.
A pen in my mouth watching like The Simpsons and Buffy the Vampire Slayer at like the age of 16, trying to toughen up my embouchure, like weight training for my face, for my trombone. Those was not normal things that 15, 16-year-old girls should have been doing.
But that's real commitment.
Face.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. I mean, and also that can come in use in other ways as well. That has other, but besides that, oh God, do you know what? I actually felt like I'm not usually the sort of person who does like what's it called? Who does like a smutty? I'm not the sort of person who does like a smutty gag, and I felt I cheapened myself there. I let myself down. I really
react, and then you've kept.
I mean, I really have brought this down to lowest common denominator, but I apologize. But anyway, but I know, I mean, that kind of commitment to stuff is, I find that fascinating because, I mean, I had it in the acquisition of knowledge. So when I was young and watched Friends for the first time when I was like 7 years old, I had a book, like compendium of every single fact about Friends, like even who the janitor was in the Friends building, just in case that came up in conversation as a 7-year-old. And I needed to know every last detail. Yeah.
I suppose I used to do that with music, like in terms of I made sure I knew what all the albums were or something, like a particular artist that I really liked or what, like, yeah. And then it kind of to the point, I kind of was almost like football cards with like who played in which orchestra and stuff with brass players. You want to be completely in the know.
Yeah, I'm actually reading like that. So I'm watching the Ken Burns.
I can just see your eyes glazing over. I was just like, no one cares about
no, mate. I love it. I'm into it. Like I've been a big fan of brass for a long time. So
very niche things. Like I don't know. I like tree climbing. I liked brass. Basically, lockdown. I'm living 10-year-old's fey life. Like I've written a show. I practiced my trombone. I've climbed a tree a day, and I've gone. Let's not think about the future.
He said, "I've like your tree climbing pictures are very wholesome. There's like very wholesome to them."
I think it sent out this weird image of me. I don't know. There's nothing else for me to do.
Well, yeah, you're mate. You're living the perfect life. That's all. Like you said, that's all you need. Climb a tree, blow a bit of brass, write a play. That's what you need.
My mental health is fine. Like if I've now almost finished like a second pilot. Like if I'm working
That's
obsessive
amazing.
hours, and that's what I've done in lockdown. But as soon as because I had to get one in for last Friday, so this week I've kind of started to dip because I'm like, oh, I'm not doing something. Like when I was at music, I for about 3 years I practiced 6 hours a day as well as training and getting my undergrad. Like and so I'm not very good at not being busy. Have you noticed I'm not good at silence? And then also, yeah, so I think it's going to be weird coming out of lockdown.
Yeah, because you always strike me as the kind of person who needs to have interaction. Like, you need to be with people, connected to people in some way. I might be wrong, but that's
yeah, I think so. I think I'm an introverted extrovert. I'm quite shy. I'm not like an actor, kind of like that comfortable on stage, but I definitely am like, please listen. I've got something to say. But I bounce off people, and having to make sure, because I grew up with so many siblings and my mum child-minded as well, and then always living in house shares. But this has been weird for 3 months, and I've had to get used to my own company. But I spoke to you in a few days. I wobbled. I was like, I'm swearing at Alexa. My housemate left Alexa. And I was like, I'm having conversations with it and getting really fucked off. It's now told, fuck off, Alexa.
Have you?
His room, so it's just me and Alexa. Little shit.
There we go. What fun! I mean, I've been living with my mum and dad, and it's been all right, actually. It's not been too fraught. I mean, we kind of we spend the whole day arguing, but it's fairly like, it's not like arguing as if it's like everything's really tense. It's just we just kind of like, I once drove past a couple, and the man was in a wife beater. And not to stereotype, and the woman had like a little like kind of bobbed haircut, and they were arguing in burps. I swear to God, I drove past her and they were arguing in burps. Like, there was no words. What's that? Say again.
I love them then. That's sick.
Like, it's like they've evolved beyond that. They've got so advanced in their coupling that they've evolved beyond language. They just argue in bodily functions. It's kind of they're arguing in burps. It was really weird.
I don't think I've been with someone long enough, like, to have got to that kind of, like, obviously I'm not an old woman, but like, I don't think I've ever even got to that relationship. I don't know. I think you can communicate in looks, but not.
Oh yeah, you say not in burps though, do you? That's a whole other level. Have you ever been where? Okay, here's a question. Like, when you first meet people, what and like a stranger, for instance, what are the top 3 things you worry that about yourself, like you worry that they will think about you?
Oh, okay, because I've got quite big eyes, and because I'm sometimes I think I'm not very good at, like, I'm not holding the decorum, so I always worry that they can see the slight fear.
Okay, yeah.
Like a wild animal in your eyes, that they're gonna see straight away that I'm definitely more scared of you than you're scared of me.
Yeah, oh, that's like a fawn. That's a sad one. That's like, you're just fearful of them. That's
like, what are you gonna do? I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm prepared. I've got to come back. I'm good. Okay. First. What else? I don't know. I guess if they kind of, it's a respect thing, isn't it? When you meet someone, you're worrying if they're gonna see you on their level or not.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. I worry about. I worry about status. I worry that they think the status is skewed in their favor. Like, I really have a weird thing about, like, I don't want anyone to think they have any power over me ever. Like,
I definitely like get that you want that, but I also find, because I'm very much just trying to smile, I'm very smiley, and I am good with kids, and because it was just with kids in and out of the house and stuff, making people feel at home and comfortable straight away. But then if you're being kind, you worry that people think you're dim.
or that you're like a pushover. Yeah. Because I'll do things like not I don't do it consciously. It's not like I've read a book on how to, but I'll do things like positive reinforcement. Like, if someone says something, even if I don't find it like particularly funny, I'll go, oh yeah, like that. Just, it's like a social lubricant just to keep things ticking over. But yeah, I definitely worry that someone feels superior or like that they have power over me. And the other thing I worry about is that I worry that my lips look like they've been burnt off. Like I'm worried, like my lips look burnt to my face. Like I'm really worried that I look like I've got the lip, like my lips are. Like I'm worried that people think that there's been a house. I'm worried that people think there's been a house fire and that the rest of my body survived it, but my lips didn't.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I can't really see with the beard, and they don't look burnt. I mean,
oh, that's good.
I wouldn't have ever focused on your lips as if like the feature on your face. Like,
that's good.
Yeah, like no. I think that no. I mean, but now I'm paranoid, like because like I've lost some of my top lip. I think from scar tissue, like my bottom lips. I'm always worried. I'm always like, I want to go.
What, no, I've never noticed that. I suppose lips. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Like lips aren't really something you focus on, really. Don't really focus on them.
Someone's got really kissable lips, but maybe.
Oh yeah, you focus on that stuff when it's a bit more like there's when it's a bit more lusty, you might focus on this. But when you're just talking cordially and things are fine and above board, you don't really. I mean, I really hold eye contact. Like I'm really good at holding eye contact. So I don't really look at the rest of the face, to be honest. I just hope other people are the same so they don't think I've burnt lips.
No, I think you're fine.
Oh, good. I also worry. What's something else I worry about? I worry about having thin legs. I worry about having thin legs.
I worry about small tits. I don't really anymore. But yeah, you don't have thin legs.
I have quite thin legs. I have quite. They're called like Lonergan legs. Like my dad and. What's that?
Which shouldn't really matter for girls, but like, does that matter?
What, to have thin legs?
Yeah.
For a man, yeah. For a man, you don't want to have thin legs, especially. So I'm kind of like top heavy as well. So like, especially as I've put on weight, it's like I'm like a little tadpole. So, like, I'm probably quite insecure about my body, I reckon. But I also worry about, this is why I chew a lot of gum and stuff. Not that, so I'm really like with oral hygiene, I'm very obsessive with it, but I always worry like,
yeah, no, I did smell because I went on a social distance Hinge date before this, but I ate red onion and like tomato side salad for my dinner.
Yeah.
And, like I was like, I'm standing a meter and a bit away from you. Let's be honest. No one's measuring 2, are we? No one's measuring it. But I was like, I've done
the law on her. She's breaking the law. What was it? Give me a breakdown of this. How did the date go?
No, this is long. Be tuned in, shit.
Okay, you don't have to go. You don't have to go into specifics of like how do you do a socially distanced date?
You do what you did when you were 14 and you hang in a park.
Oh, and you just stand apart from each other. You don't have any contact. Do you just like kind of stand and like face each other like that, and there's no physical contact?
I chatted about his work.
So I suppose that like with a first date,
Hinge dates where you're like, oh, you're in Harry, like, okay, let's meet up because it's fun. I was like, I need to try it because this could be it for the next few months, but I don't know if I really should be dating anyway. Like, cause I just feel like I should just focus on me. Shit.
I mean, I mean, you know what's best for you, but I mean, I'm in a mindset where I don't think I could date at the moment. It always sends me mad. It's like
it's really difficult when you're building up your own self-esteem as well after like, so what, we're in June, so like being like, right, I'm not going to be boozing, like I'm not going to be drinking, all right, I need to do this, and then you're trying to build up your own self-confidence and your own like, and then putting yourself out there for rejection, but also putting yourself, I don't know how healthy it is. I can't
had
a month ago when I got ghosted and I was like, this isn't a normal reaction to one date, but just the interaction for the weeks going. But I was like, and it's just in my mind that you're just kind of like, I just need to focus on being well and taking one day at a time.
Yeah, like having to accommodate someone else's feeling. I really struggle with, and as well, I can't deal with, because I love the heightened emotion you feel when you're really flirting with someone, and like you really fancy each other, and it's very heightened state of mind. I can't stand the organic shift away from that, which it does, like that isn't sustainable, that kind of like heightened, like flirtatious, and it's really like it's like a pregnant moment. It's really full of something, and you can't, that just
real of the thing that's there. It's just like a little chemical kind of spark reaction of how you're feeling, the excitement of something new.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's the excitement and the kind of exhilaration of that, which will, just as life is, that will drain away, and it will start to. And that's what I can't deal with. I can't deal with that draining away, but then that draining away, and then realizing that there's nothing beyond that. Like it drains away, and they're like, "This is you are just nothing. You were just like milk. Like you are just milk now." Like, I can't stand being milk. I can't stand it.
I don't like open myself up to being vulnerable. I think that's the thing. I've always had to be quite strong and quite independent, like completely by myself with lots of things and dealing with things by myself. So I don't like the romantic sides of kind of having to be vulnerable at the beginning. I'm very much just like, no, I sort everyone else's shit out for them all the time.
Well, yeah, that
everyone else. I'm not very good at being like, oh, now it's been 7 days. Let's message my friend Ed. I think I might be being ghosted. It gets to day 10. You message your mate Dave, who plays bass trombone. He was like, yeah, love, you're being ghosted. I'm like, oh, that's embarrassing. And then my whole status thing goes, and then I'm just like, oh no, did I make daisy chains and go to the swings? No, I smoked a hash joint because I'm from Croydon, and I went on my date as if I was 15.
That's too grown up. You should have climbed a tree. I don't know. I usually, what I will do, like if someone, like if there's someone I really like, and then it's not reconciled, I'll kind of, on the face of it, I'll be like, no, that's absolutely fine. You know, this is just what life's like. Like you're not always gonna connect with people or like people, and I'll kind of move from it in a grown up way. But then I'll take to bed for like a month. And or not a month, but like 4 days. Then I'll really just take to bed.
I'm for, you have to tell someone. I'm very much just like, and I will be quite straight up. I'll say no to a date. And it's always bad if you get asked out by a colleague you've known for ages, and they ask you out, you say, no, I didn't feel like, you went on that one date, and you do it. And I'm the same, like, but even if I'm on the other side, I don't like hurting someone's feelings, but I'd rather do it. But I will spend 4 days in bed feeling really shit about myself. I'm the person in the fucking world. Yeah,
that's it. I'll like treat it. And now think like, oh, that got handled really well. Like now think, oh, that you really moved on from that. That was a good grown up move on his part, not realizing that I'm just like in bed.
Like oranges in bed. I've had a wank and a cry, and I'm like, Justin.
Yeah, but then, but thank God, like no one's ever will know about that side. And I would never tell anyone in public. I would never tell anyone about that side. So thank God that isn't out in the open. Thank God that isn't in the public realm, because I want to keep that part of me private. Anyway, it's been lovely catching. Well, let's catch up as well off of this. We haven't chatted for a while, but yeah, it's been lovely speaking to you, mate.
Lovely speaking to you.
You're looking very well.
Thank you.
No worries. See you later, Faye. There we go. That's my lovely friend, Faye Tracy there, and she went on a date. I've done it. So it's like the Kingsley Amis thing, where he said he wants to cancel himself out sexually when he got to a certain age. That's kind of how I feel at the moment. Don't really want dating or anything like that. But I'll end on if any of you, oh, by the way, please donate to the Black Trans Protesters Fund. That you'll see the donation bit somewhere at the bottom. I don't know. It's knocking about. Please do donate to that if you can. If you have that kind of disposable income, They're people who are out on the streets fighting for what they believe in. They're airing their grievances, and it's justified in this moment. It's a turbulent moment, but it's a turbulent moment that we need. And hopefully there can be some kind of change at the end of this. And these black trans protesters are usually people who haven't got the financial means, or they're dispossessed, they're disadvantaged, they're living in penury, some of them, and they're still going out to fight for what they believe. And this will give them some kind of financial safety net and will help them out. So please do donate to that if you can. I did the old dad neck bit, didn't I? Dad poured a little bit of milk into my dad. I just think my dad I think he's just had enough of me being here, to be honest. I don't just mean being in his house. I think he wants to be dead. No, I'm only joking. We don't really. We love each other. Good guy. Yeah. So we have come to the end. I feel like I should end on something that's quite profound and has got some kind of resonance. So you kind of leave this going, that ended in such a satisfying way. So I might shove a shampoo bottle up my arse. How's that for you for an ending? If we're going to do endings, boy, we're going to do it properly. Gotta shove a big old shampoo bottle up my arsehole. What point does hole become anus? Ecstatic, childlike, utopian vision. If you were to look at the world with all its imperfections in the right way, through the eyes of a saint or a mystic, you'd be secluded in your personal utopia, irrespective of what was going on outside. You would realize that laboring to put things right on earth was futile, for it is in your mind that the world is transfigured or is not. The improved world that every drunk or junkie hopes to enter is an example of this. Insulated, enveloping, heart achingly beautiful, solitary utopias of the mind. We're inventing islands for ourselves to inhabit. And you've been inhabiting my island for a bit over an hour now. And I hope you enjoyed it here. It's been very nice having you. So please donate to the Black Trans Protesters Fund if you can, and keep supporting these organisations. Please do, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. I love you all.